Exposed. The incredible moment. This single dad revealed life-changing wisdom to a heartbroken girl. The sun hung low over the bustling town fair, casting golden rays that danced off the laughter-filled booths and the sweet smell of cotton candy that filled the air. Jake Reynolds, a devoted single father in his late 30s, stood by the grill, flipping burgers with one hand while holding a bright red cup of lemonade in the other. To anyone watching, he was just a hard-working man enjoying a spring day. But inside his heart was a whirlwind of emotions, especially for his teenage daughter, Emma, who glowed with excitement as she shared her dreams of applying to colleges. Life was tough, but their bond shone bright. But then it happened. A week later, the world came crashing down. Emma received a rejection letter from her dream school, and suddenly the vibrant colors of their life turned dull. She stared at the letter, tears streaming down her face, every word slicing through her as she questioned her worth. The financial struggles that had always loomed over them now weighed heavily on her shoulders. Did her father's hard work mean nothing when it came to her future? Jake sensed the shift in the household. One evening, while sitting on the stairs, Emma buried her face in her hands, crumbling under the pressure. Seeing her so defeated pierced through him like an arrow. Memories of his own childhood flooded back, of loss, choices, and the kindness of strangers that guided him through. He sat beside her, careful to bridge that gap he felt growing daily. "You know, Emma," he began, his voice soft yet steady, "life doesn't measure success by the diploma on a wall. It's about heart, resilience. It's about how you treat others." His words hung in the air, a lifeline tossed amid raging seas. With every story he recounted from his youth, filled with laughter shared and tears shed, he saw a flicker of hope reigniting in her eyes. But hope soon crumbled into rebellion. As days passed, Emma skipped school, started hanging out with questionable friends, and the spirited girl who once embraced dreams began to unravel before his eyes. Their nights turned into confrontations, filled with anger and misunderstandings, pushing both of them further away from the love they once shared. Amidst their chaos, the community faced its own storm. Mrs. Thompson, their elderly neighbor, was at risk of eviction due to a sudden medical emergency. In a heartbeat, Jake rallied neighbors together, hoping to keep her from losing her home. As he organized help in the heart of their suburban neighborhood, Emma watched from a distance, her heart flickering. This act of kindness ignited something in her, revealing a side of her father she had forgotten. She realized the strength and integrity he embodied were qualities she once aspired to uphold. Just then, with a spark inside her, Emma started to see her father's lessons clearly. The love they shared and the values of compassion were worth more than any academic title. As they sat together again, silence settled heavily between them, filled with all those unspoken truths. Just as Jake took a breath to share one final piece of wisdom, Emma gazed out the window. The choice loomed before her like a thunderstorm on the horizon. Would she embrace her father's guidance, or let rebellion pull her further into darkness? The air buzzed with uncertainty, leaving everyone breathless, waiting for the next moment that could turn everything around. Days passed, and the tension in the Reynolds household clung like the humidity of summer. Jake tried to approach Emma with an open heart, yet words often felt inadequate. While he continued to help Mrs. Thompson, the elderly neighbor, and organized a fundraiser that brought the community together, Emma remained distant. She was physically there, but emotionally she felt miles away, lost in her own world. One warm evening, Jake sat on the porch sipping on a cold drink, the sun setting in brilliant hues of orange and pink. He watched as kids raced their bicycles down the street, laughing, carefree. It struck him how much he missed those moments with Emma, the simplicity of her laughter. He longed to reconnect, to invite her back to the table where dreams were once discussed. Emma stepped outside, her expression unreadable. She leaned against the porch railing, her arms crossed. "What's the point of all this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake turned to her, surprised. "What do you mean?" She sighed, frustration spilling over. "You helping Mrs. Thompson, these fundraisers? It's nice and all, but does it even matter? People are still struggling, and I'm still, well, me." Her honesty shattered through Jake's heart, revealing her deep-seated insecurities that had been haunting her since the rejection letter. Jake took a moment, the silence filled with the chirping of crickets and the faint rustle of leaves. Emma, helping others matters. It might seem small, but every little act can create a ripple. And you matter too, just as you are. You're more than one letter. You're someone who has the potential to inspire. Emma's gaze faltered, and Jake felt a flicker of hope ignite. But then she shook her head stubbornly. You don't understand. What if I'm not good enough? What if I mess everything up and disappoint you like I disappointed myself? I feel lost. The words struck him deeply. We all mess up, Emma. I've had my fair share of failures, but what matters is what we do after, how we pick ourselves up. He took a deep breath, wanting to build her confidence. Look, I know I might not have the right words sometimes, but I'm still here for you 100%. The weight of his sincerity tugged at her heart. A part of her wanted to lean into the connection, but fear kept her anchored. Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the nearby park, where a group had gathered to celebrate the community effort for Mrs. Thompson. Jake turned to Emma with a gentle smile. Come on, let's go see what they've done. Reluctantly, Emma followed him, hesitating at first. As they approached, the sight of neighbors smiling and laughing filled her with a strange warmth. Their small world felt vibrant, alive. She felt the pull of community, a reminder that maybe she wasn't alone in her struggles. As they joined the group, Jake looked at Emma, his heart swelling with pride. She stood beside him, her arms unfolding as she took in the genuine joy around her. Maybe this was the spark they needed, a chance to share hope, even amidst their chaotic lives. But then, just as Emma hesitated to join a group conversation, she noticed a familiar face across the crowd, one from her past, someone she used to trust. The memories surged in that moment, a mix of nostalgia and dread. What choice would she make? Would this be a tipping point in their journey, bringing her closer to her father's wisdom? Or would she fall back into the shadow of rebellion, letting fear dictate her path once more? The question lingered in the air as the community buzzed ahead, leaving Emma standing on a precipice of change, uncertain of the step to take next. Emma's heart raced as she scanned the crowd, her eyes locking onto that familiar face, the last person she expected to see. It was Sarah, her childhood friend, someone she had shared laughter and secrets with, and someone whose betrayal had stung deeper than she cared to admit. The years drifted away in an instant, and her chest tightened. Just a few years ago, they were inseparable. But now, Sarah represented everything Emma was trying to escape. Her past, her mistakes, the hurt. Jake noticed her shift in demeanor. "Hey," he said softly, not wanting to push too hard. "You okay?" Emma didn't respond immediately. She was trapped in her thoughts, wrestling with the memories, the joy they had shared, the breaking that had followed. Could she face her? With a shaky breath, she looked back at Jake. I need a moment," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, as she stepped away. "Emma?" he started, but she was already moving through the crowd, the laughter around her fading into a distant buzz. Reaching Sarah felt like crossing a desert, each step a battle of courage against the sandstorms of doubt. When she finally stood in front of her, the air felt thick, heavy with unsaid words and unresolved feelings. Sarah was vibrant as ever, her laughter mingling with other friends, but when her eyes met Emma's, the laughter ceased, replaced by a tentative silence. "Emma?" Sarah finally said, her voice warm but cautious. "Wow, it's been a long time." "Yeah," Emma replied, suddenly feeling small, like the girl Sarah used to protect from the world's cruelties. "You look good." A flicker of relief crossed Sarah's face, but it vanished quickly. "You too, how have you been?" "I've been—" Emma hesitated, grappling with the truth, trying to figure things out. "It's been rough." Sarah nodded, and that simple gesture softened the edges of Emma's anxiety. "I know things were hard between us, but I've missed you. A lot." Emma's heart ached at those words. She craved connection, yet the shadows of betrayal loomed large. "I wasn't there when you needed me," she said, emotions surfacing, "and I think that hurt more than anything else." The pause felt infinite. Sarah's gaze dropped, and for a moment the world around them faded entirely. "I was angry. I get that. But we were kids. I messed up too. I should have never let that come between us." Seeing Sarah so vulnerable tugged at Emma's heartstrings. She wanted to scream, to unload all the hurt they had both carried for so long. But she felt like a ghost, unsure if she had the power to bridge their broken bond. Before she could find her voice, Jake approached them, breaking the charged silence. "Hey, you found Sarah?" He smiled, warmth returning to his voice, completely unaware of the tension hanging between the two women. "I think she's a bit of a miracle worker. Helped make the whole fundraiser happen." "Really?" Emma asked, turning to Sarah. "You're involved in the community?" "Yeah," Sarah replied, her face lighting up with passion. "It means a lot to me. I wanted to give back." At that moment, something shifted in Emma. Maybe this was a way to reconnect, not just with Sarah, but with herself. "You should join us in the next project," Emma suggested, surprising even herself. "It could be fun, for both of us." A cautious smile appeared on Sarah's lips, hope flickering in her eyes. "I'd like that." But just as the tension seemed to lift, the moment felt fragile. Emma's resolve wrestled with her fear of being hurt again. Was she ready to open that door, or would she let fear drag her back into the darkness? Time seemed to pause as she caught Jake's supportive glance. The community behind them buzzed with life, but for Emma this was the only moment that mattered. Would she take the leap towards forgiveness and renewal? The choice loomed heavy before her, and just as she began to decide, the unmistakable sound of sirens blared in the distance, pulling her back to reality with a jolt. What new challenges awaited her, and would they further complicate this fragile moment of reconnection? Emma felt her heart sink as the sirens pierced the joyful atmosphere, shattering the fragile moment she had just begun to piece together with Sarah. It was as if the universe was chiming in, reminding her of the chaos that had always followed her, even in moments of hope. Her gaze flickered between Sarah and the crowd, her mind racing. "Maybe it's nothing," she murmured, trying to convince herself while her pulse quickened. But Jake's expression shifted, a hint of concern creeping into his features. "I think it's coming from the park," he said, sounding more serious than before. "They might need help." Emma's instinct kicked in. She had always been the one to rush toward problems, despite her own wounds. I can offer help," she said, and without waiting for a response, she started moving toward the exit. "Wait," Jake called after her. "Are you sure? We can just stick around." "Help is needed. Just a moment, okay?" she shot back, her voice sharper than intended. But she was already too far into her own head, too scared to let fear win. She needed this, needed to feel alive again, even amidst the uncertainty. Sarah lingered behind, her face a blend of hesitation and concern. "Emma, are you sure? You don't have to do this alone." With a quick look back, Emma felt the warmth of Sarah's concern enveloping her like a blanket. "I won't be alone," she replied, her tone softer. "Let's go together." As they pushed through the crowd, Emma's heart raced less from fear now and more from the thrill of camaraderie. She hadn't expected to feel a connection with Sarah so soon, but there was something comforting in this shared purpose. The sirens faded into the background as they approached the park, where they could see flashing lights and a gathering crowd. When they arrived, chaos unfolded before them. A small group had formed around an accident, a young boy crying with his mother panicking nearby. Emma inhaled sharply, the air thick with urgency. "We need to help," she said, stepping closer, her heart hammering in her chest. "Let's start by comforting the child," Sarah suggested, her voice steady despite the chaos as she took charge of the situation. Emma nodded, falling into step beside her. They approached the distressed mother, who looked as if she might crumble under the weight of fear. Emma knelt beside the child, trying to meet his frightened gaze. "Hey, buddy," she said softly. "What happened?" The boy sniffled, his little hands trembling. "My bike. It got stuck," he stammered, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Okay, let's take a deep breath," Emma said, cupping his face with her hands, feeling his warmth, the softness of his cheeks. "You're okay. You're safe. We're here to help." Sarah gently squeezed the boy's shoulder, offering strength. Their actions felt instinctive, a reminder of who they used to be together, back when caring for others was the most natural thing in the world. As minutes passed, a police officer arrived, taking control of the scene. Emma felt good as she helped the mother, her anxiety ebbing as she focused on someone else's need. Soon the boy's tears turned to giggles as he recounted the story of his bike, clumsy but innocent, just like life should be. Emma's heart swelled with a sense of purpose. She had made a difference, however small. The atmosphere lightened, laughter intermingling with the sirens in the background. But as she turned to share a smile with Sarah, she caught a glimpse of something darker in Sarah's eyes, a flicker of pain mixed with memories. "I've missed this," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You have no idea." Emma's heartbeat quickened, the air between them charging with unsaid feelings. "I think I'm starting to understand." But before either of them could grasp what was happening, another commotion erupted, drawing their attention. A figure rushed towards them, breathless, eyes wide with panic. Emma's stomach dropped as she recognized the face, someone from her past, a ghost she thought she had left behind forever. What could this sudden appearance mean? And how would it change everything Emma had just begun to rebuild? Emma's heart pounded in her chest as the familiar face approached. Jake's voice faded into the background, and fears long buried surged to the surface. It was Ethan, the boy she thought she had left behind, the one who had filled her past with both joy and heartbreak. His eyes were wild, full of fear that matched the urgency of the moment. "Emma!" he gasped, nearly stumbling over his own feet as he reached them. "I need your help, it's my daughter." "Where is she?" Emma asked, urgency creasing her brow. The chaos of the crowd blurred around them, but her focus fixed on Ethan. She could see the desperation etched deep in his features, the weariness that spoke of sleepless nights filled with worry. "She was at the park with my mother, and now she's missing." His voice broke, echoing the button-down vulnerability that had always tugged at Emma's heart. In an instant, Emma shifted gears. Memories of their past washed over her, but she pushed them aside. "Let's go find her," she said, dismissing her own hesitations. It felt too important to linger on old wounds right now. "Please, please help me." Sarah had turned pale at the mention of the girl, her own eyes swimming with emotions Emma couldn't decipher. "Ethan, when was she last seen?" Sarah's determined voice cut through the tension like a knife. "A few minutes ago, by the fountain," he said, running a nervous hand through his hair. "She was with my mom, and then there was an argument between some people." His breath hitched, shaky with worry. Emma felt Sarah's hand squeeze her arm. "We need to hurry. She could be anywhere." "You should check that direction, Emma," she suggested, pointing to the path leading deeper into the park. "I'll go with you," Ethan said, a flicker of hope lighting his eyes. "No, you stay here. We'll split up, cover more ground." Sarah's assertive tone left no room for argument. Emma felt a surge of admiration for her friend amidst the chaos. They moved quickly, the bustling park now a labyrinth of anxiety. Emma's heart raced not just from fear, but from the weight of being intertwined with Ethan's life again. Almost instinctively, she found herself recalling the old, happy memories filled with laughter, and suddenly her heart ached for the boy who had once meant so much to her. "Emma!" A nearby voice pulled her back to the present, a frantic shout that propelled her forward. Was that Ethan's voice? No, someone else. A young mother clenching a blanket, trembling and pale. "Is everything okay?" Emma asked, instinct pulling her closer. "Have you seen a little girl?" The woman's eyes darted around, panic rising. She was playing just here. "No, not yet," Emma said, glancing around, hoping her instincts wouldn't fail her this time. What if she couldn't find the girl? What if something terrible had happened? Suddenly, a memory fluttered in her mind, her own doubts transformed by the warmth of friendship. Emma remembered how she and Ethan found comfort in each other, how they had promised to be there no matter what. "I'm going to find her," Emma declared, determination surging through her. This was her chance to hold on to the person she had fought so hard to keep at bay. Taking a deep breath, she focused her energies outward, pushing past the commotion of the park. But just then she spotted a cap on the ground, a bright blue one that looked like it belonged to a child. "Ethan!" she shouted, heart racing as she picked it up. "Is this hers?" The look on Ethan's face was electric. "Yes." He rushed toward her, voice thick with emotion. "That's definitely hers." Emma's pulse quickened further. "She has to be nearby. Stick with me." As they moved deeper into the park, every shadow appeared to stretch ominously. Every laugh felt like a reminder of the stakes. Feet pounding against the ground, Emma and Ethan called for her, declarations of hope that echoed over the growing worry. But just as hope rekindled in Emma's heart, a voice rang out from behind a nearby bush, soft and small. "Daddy?" It was fragile, almost lost among the noise, yet all-consuming. Emma locked eyes with Ethan, and they rushed toward the sound, breaths caught in their throats. What would they find when they reached her? Emma sprinted toward the bush, heart hammering in her chest. With every step, urgency propelled her forward. She could see Ethan's face morph from fear to a flicker of hope as they reached the tangled branches. "Is that you, sweetheart?" he called out, his voice trembling, vibrating with desperate anticipation. "Daddy!" The voice was stronger now, tinged with relief. Emma's fingers brushed against the leaves, pulling them back to reveal a small figure huddled inside. There she was. The little girl, no more than 6, her face tear-streaked but brightened by recognition. She wore a bright pink dress that fluttered even while she sat. In an instant, Emma felt an overwhelming surge of emotions, relief, love, and a spark of something she hadn't expected to feel so strongly again. "Baby, I was so worried." Ethan knelt down, gathering his daughter into his arms. The little girl buried her face in his shoulder, clinging to him tightly as if she feared she would disappear again. Emma took a breath, a sudden wave of gratitude washing over her. The girl was safe. They had found her. But as the sobs erupted from the child, Emma caught Ethan's eye. His relief was palpable, yet beneath it lay something deeper, an unspoken connection, an acknowledgement of their shared past. "Where were you hiding?" Ethan asked gently, brushing a strand of hair away from his daughter's forehead. She sniffled and replied between tears, "I was scared when the fight happened." Emma felt a knot in her stomach. The chaos that had erupted earlier must have terrified her. She stepped closer, her heart aching for both Ethan and his daughter. "It's okay. You're safe now," she murmured, wanting to reassure the little girl, but caught up in the current of their emotions. "Thank you for finding her," Ethan said, glancing up at Emma, eyes glistening with gratitude. Those eyes, the same ones she had loved once, now softened by the fierce protectiveness over his child. "Of course," Emma replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "We couldn't leave without her." As they stood together, the park resumed its usual rhythm, laughter and chatter blending into the background. Emma felt the tension start to ease, yet, somewhere beneath the surface, her memories with Ethan tugged insistently. Should she confront that past, knowing it was woven into the fabric of this moment? "Can we go home now?" the girl asked softly, her voice a sweet whisper of innocence in the middle of turmoil. "Absolutely," Ethan said, lifting her effortlessly into his arms. Emma watched, enchanted by the simple strength of fatherhood that seemed to radiate from him, igniting an unexpected warmth in her chest. As they began to walk back through the park, Emma fell slightly behind, caught in her thoughts. She wanted to reach out to Ethan to bridge the gap that had grown between them over the years, yet doubt brushed against her resolve. What if he still blamed her for the past? "Emma." Ethan's voice broke through her musings and she looked up. "I know this is complicated, everything's been so messy, but maybe we could talk later. I'd like to see you." The admission hung in the air, heavy with the weight of possibilities. Emma nodded, her heart racing, excitement mixed with trepidation. "Yeah, I'd like that," she replied, unsure of what it would mean for them both. But before she could think further, a chill wind swept through the park, rustling the leaves above them. Emma smiled softly at the girl's tiny hand resting against Ethan's neck, and that knot in her stomach tightened with hopeful anticipation. What did it mean for the past and the future if they truly faced it together? The sun began to dip low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the park as they made their way back. The sound of laughter seemed to fade, replaced by the soft crunch of their footsteps on fallen leaves. Emma felt a mixture of contentment and anxiety swirl inside her. The girl's small fingers curled around Ethan's neck, her eyes fluttering closed, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. "Do you want to hold her?" Ethan asked, glancing back at Emma. His expression was soft, but there was a vulnerability in his gaze that tugged at something deep within her. Yeah, I'd like that. Emma stepped forward, and Ethan gently transferred the sleeping child into her arms. Emma instinctively cradled her, feeling the little girl's weight settle against her body. It felt so right, almost natural. As they walked, the park transformed around them, the shadows lengthening, adding an air of intimacy to their shared journey. "Thank you," Ethan said, breaking the silence. "I know it's been a while since, well, a lot has changed." "Yeah," Emma murmured, looking down at the girl, her chest rising and falling gently. "You've got a beautiful daughter." "Thanks." Ethan smiled, but the warmth in his eyes hinted at a deeper layer. "She's my world." The rhythm of their steps synchronized again. Each stride carried an unspoken history, all the laughter and tears still hanging between them, like an old song that echoed in the back of their minds. Emma found herself studying Ethan more closely now, the way his brow furrowed slightly when he thought, the flicker of emotion that crossed his face whenever he glanced at his daughter. "I've missed you," he suddenly blurted out, catching her off guard. His honesty was both a balm and a sword. She felt her heart leap and ache simultaneously. "Time just hasn't been on our side." "I missed you too," Emma confessed, feeling the weight of her words. She wanted to ask about everything, the reasons they had parted, what had really happened since, but the moment felt fragile. It's like they were standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into years of unresolved feelings. As they reached the park's exit, the streetlights flickered on, casting a soft glow over them. Emma hesitated, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. "So, what do we do now?" she asked, throat tight with the apprehension of a fresh start, intermingled with the weight of their shared past. Ethan stopped, turning to face her, those familiar eyes filled with an intensity that made Emma's heart flutter. "We take it one day at a time. I want to be there, for you and for her." Emma looked down at the girl still nestled in her arms, then met Ethan's gaze. "But it won't be easy. Nothing worth it ever is." Ethan's voice was steady, firm, filled with unshakable determination. "I was foolish before, pushing you away. I don't want that to happen again." The admission was raw, hitting Emma like a wave. It stirred emotions she hadn't anticipated. Their past was complicated, full of heartache, but standing here now, possibilities filled the air like the heady scent of blooming flowers after a rain. "Okay," she replied softly. "Then let's figure it out together." Ethan nodded, his lips curling into a small smile, sparking that familiar warmth in her chest again. As he shifted to take a step forward, the little girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open, confusion marring her sleepy expression. "Daddy, where are we going?" she asked, the innocence of her voice cutting through their moment. "We're going home, sweet pea," Ethan replied, gently stroking her hair. Emma watched the way he cared for her, the way he seemed to have softened in both love and resolve. They began walking again, but Emma felt her heart pounding. Was she ready to dive back into the past, to uncover feelings she had buried so deep? "Emma," Ethan said, breaking into her thoughts once more. "There's something I need to tell you." She turned toward him, anticipation mingling with fear. What could he possibly say that would change everything? Ethan's gaze locked onto Emma's, and for a moment the world around them blurred, the streetlights casting halos in the deepening dusk. Emma felt the weight of his stare. It was intense, searching, as if he was weighing his next words carefully. "I've had a lot of time to think," he began, his voice low but steady, "and I realize now that the mistakes I made, they weren't just about us." He paused, swallowing hard, as if the truth he was about to share was a stone lodged in his throat. Emma felt a tight knot form in her stomach. The tension of the moment was palpable, swirling like the autumn leaves spiraling in the breeze around them. "What do you mean?" she pressed, needing clarity. "What mistakes?" Ethan took a deep breath, his hand running through his hair. "It's about being scared. Scared of failing, of losing you again, and of being a father." He glanced down at his daughter, who had fallen into a peaceful sleep once more. "I didn't realize how much I was running away from everything that truly mattered." His honesty pierced through Emma, resonating with her own fears. She knew what it felt like to avoid pain by building walls. "It's not just about what happened before. We have to look at our future too," she replied softly. "I don't want to go through the same things again." "I get that." Ethan's expression turned serious, a weight of sincerity adding depth to his gaze. "The truth is, I've been going to therapy, not just for my own sake, but for Lily, my daughter." He looked at her, vulnerability etched in every line on his face. "I want to be better for her, for you. I want to face my fears instead of running from them." Emma's heart softened at the revelation. Ethan was changing. The Ethan she knew had been so afraid to confront emotions, always hiding beneath a carefree facade. "That's brave of you," she said, her voice barely a whisper. She could see the effort behind his words, the commitment he had made towards growth. "Emma, I want us to try again if you're willing. It won't be instant. We'll have to rebuild trust and communication." His sincerity wrapped around her, bringing both hope and trepidation. Emma felt a flood of conflicting emotions. Could they really start anew? Was she ready to face the possibility of heartache again? She glanced at the sleeping child in her arms, recognizing how much was at stake. "I don't want to be a part of something that isn't real," Emma admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I need to know you're all in, no backing out this time." "I promise I'm all in," Ethan assured her, an earnestness lighting up his eyes. "I've learned that love isn't simply feelings. It's actions, commitments, and facing challenges head-on." In that moment, they felt the shift, a hopeful turn towards a complex future. Before Emma could respond, a loud commotion from nearby pulled her attention. A group of children laughing and playing spilled onto the path, their energy infectious. It was a reminder of innocence, the joy that could be found even in chaos, and suddenly she felt like the weight of the world was back on her shoulders. She turned back to Ethan. "What if we face a storm?" she questioned, heart racing. "What if it's too much?" "Then we face it together." His words were firm, filled with a promise that challenged her to trust. As they continued walking, Emma couldn't escape the sound of laughter mixing with her swirling thoughts. Could they really overcome the past? Could they shape a better future together? And in the depths of her mind, one thought lingered, the fear of what lay ahead. Could she truly embrace this second chance, or would the shadows of fear and doubt overshadow their efforts to rebuild? The laughter of children faded into the background, taking with it the last bits of Emma's resolve. She watched as the group darted playfully between the trees, a snapshot of how carefree life could feel, but her heart felt heavy, clouded with uncertainty. "Ethan," she started, her voice faltering, "what if I open my heart to you, and you change your mind again? What if I can't trust you?" He stepped closer, the warmth of his presence enveloping her like a comforting blanket. "I understand your fears," Ethan said softly, "but I need you to hear me. I'm committed to change, for Lily and for us. I wouldn't say these things if I wasn't serious." His earnest gaze sent a shiver down her spine, sparking something within her, an ember of hope against the chill of doubt. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of all their shared memories, both bitter and sweet. "And what if it still isn't enough?" she asked, her voice thicker now, a mix of fear and yearning. "What if the mistakes are too big, too deep?" Her chest tightened and the past loomed like a shadow over them. Ethan moved even closer, their faces just inches apart. "A relationship is about growth. It's messy and it's hard, but we can't change what we don't talk about." His words were laced with urgency and honesty. "I'll always remember what happened," Emma admitted, looking down at the path, regret coursing through her. "I can't forget the pain. How do we just move past that?" Ethan took a moment before replying, his expression shifting to one of deep understanding. "By embracing the pain and learning from it, we have to share our scars, Emma, not hide them. Only then can we build something real." She felt a flicker of warmth in his words. It was a bold suggestion, one that required her to open her heart to the very hurt she had been shielding herself from. "You mean share everything?" "Everything." He nodded, his resolve unshakable. "The good, the bad, the ugly. Everything that makes us, us. Emma wanted to believe him. A part of her yearned to reach out and grasp this precarious chance at happiness. Yet, another part of her urged caution, wrapping around her heart like barbed wire. "But what if it all falls apart again?" she whispered, nearly afraid to voice the question. "Then we try again," Ethan answered, a softness in his voice. "I refuse to accept that we are destined to repeat the past. We have to be stronger than our fears." Emma looked into his eyes, and for the first time she saw the vulnerability in them. A man trying to battle the demons of his past, ready to face them head-on. "But fear is powerful," she said, her heart racing as she grasped the weight of the conversation. "What if we can't control it?" Ethan's brow furrowed, determination leaking into his tone. "Then we acknowledge it and decide to walk through it anyway, together. It's the only way I see hope for us." A deep silence hung between them, the world around seeming to pause. Emma's heart was a battleground of possibility and fear, each competing for dominance. Her mind raced with questions. Could she truly let go of the past? Could she let down her guard and trust him, not just with her heart, but with the future of their little family? The laughter of the children echoed faintly, a reminder of innocence and hope. Emma took a step back, breaking the tether of the moment, needing space to breathe, to think. "Let me think," she finally said, guilt and hope interwoven in her voice. "This is big. I need time." "Take all the time you need," Ethan replied, his expression unreadable yet still hopeful. With a small nod, Emma turned away, feeling the urgency of the moment seep into her very bones. The questions lingered like a cloud, swirling in the air around them. As she glanced back, she saw Ethan watching her, hope and fear flickering in his gaze. Emma knew she was on the brink of an important decision, one that could change everything. But deep within, a stirring realization emerged. What if this was her moment to confront her fears, not just for herself, but for her daughter, for their future? And as she walked away, the thought haunted her, compelling her to confront the inevitable. Would she dare to face the storm Ethan promised they could weather together, or was this uncertain terrain merely a series of echoes from the past? The decision loomed, waiting for its moment in the light. Emma could feel the weight of the world pressing down on her as she walked away, her mind racing with endless questions. She needed to sort through the chaos swirling inside her heart. The laughter of the children, the comfort of the little girl resting in her arms, all became distant sounds as she wrestled with her thoughts. "Hey!" Ethan's voice broke through the fog, gentle yet firm. She paused, turning slowly to face him, drawn to the sincerity in his eyes. "I think we need to talk," Emma replied, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "Yeah," he nodded, stepping closer, hands stuffed into his pockets. "Let's talk." As they faced each other, the park surrounded them, creating a bubble of intimacy amidst the chaos. Emma took a deep breath, gathering the courage to say what had been dancing on the tip of her tongue. "I want to believe that we can have a future together, but I need to know you're truly committed. Can you promise me that?" Ethan's eyes widened, vulnerability etched across his face. "Emma, I promise. I don't just want a second chance, I need it. For Lily, for us. Nothing will matter more to me than that." Her heart leapt at the resolve in his voice. It felt good to hear him mean it, but fear loomed large in her mind. What if I can't let go of the past? What if every step forward feels like walking on glass? "Then we'll take those steps together," Ethan said gently. "Every single one. We won't let fear define us." Emma considered his words, sensing the truth bubbling beneath them. She had spent so long hiding from her fears and failures, when what she truly craved was connection, real, honest connection. And here stood Ethan, ready to share that journey with her. "I need to see you being consistent, Ethan," she said, her eyes steady on his. "This time, we can't just talk about change. We need to live it." Ethan nodded firmly, determination shining in his features. "I know. And I'm ready to do the work, Emma. That's what this means to me, growing together, even when it's hard." At that moment, with the warmth of late afternoon sun wrapping around them, a flicker of belief ignited within Emma's heart. Perhaps this wasn't just another chance. Perhaps this could be the moment of transformation for both of them. "Okay," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet filled with newfound courage. "Let's try." "Let's do it," Ethan replied, a radiant smile breaking across his face, pushing away the shadows of doubt. The emotions swirling inside her began to settle, an inner peace blooming even as worries still crept at the edges of her mind. They moved forward together, one cautious step at a time, toward their shared future, hearts exposed and hopeful. As they exchanged smiles, Ethan glanced down at Lily, whose small hand was now gently tugging at Emma's shirt. "Can we go home now?" she asked with sleepy innocence, her wide-eyed gaze flicking between them. "Of course, sweetheart," Emma replied, her heart swelling. "Let's go home." As they walked hand in hand, the shadows of the past dimmed while the golden warmth of possibility bathed them. Emma felt a lightness she had almost forgotten, one that whispered of potential, healing, and rebuilding. With every step, she realized they were stitching parts of their lives back together. The fun, the laughter, the hard conversations, they would embrace the chaos of life together, their bond growing even stronger as they faced whatever storms lay ahead. A newfound sense of resilience filled Emma's heart. She would no longer let fear hold her back or dictate her choices. This was the moment to embrace their shared journey, to learn from the past and carry it forward into something beautiful. In this moment, as they headed toward the glow of home, she grasped the importance of connection, the hope of a new beginning. Emma looked at Ethan, and for the first time in years, the uncertainty of the future felt bright and enticing. They were ready to write their own story together, and the echoes of laughter from the park followed them as they walked away, mingling with the promise of love, acceptance, and transformation. Now more than ever, it was clear. Life was a tapestry of moments, and together Emma and Ethan would weave something extraordinary. And just like that, Emma knew. This was the beginning of everything. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about this amazing ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now, don't wait. Not even one more second to share. Show your support for every story we tell.